All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Why don't you want to get a little closer to me?
I am.
This is nice. We have to show each other how unified we are.
How close we are.
Okay.
All right.
We have a lot to talk about today. We are in for quite a bumpy ride. And when I say that, meaning Iran is in for quite a bumpy ride. Now, we're going to talk about a bunch of things today. We are going to talk about what may be the biggest news to hit the Middle East in probably 5 to 10 years.
No, this is huge.
It's bigger than anything that I ever thought would happen this quickly.
But it lines up with things that we've been talking about here about this new kind of, how do you say, shift in polarization in the Middle East.
Oh, folks, the UAE has officially stated its intent to withdraw as of May 1. That's in a few days from OPEC and OPEC Plus. With that withdrawal, it stated its intent to continue to work with oil-producing states that are, in essence, with good standing, which means Saudi Arabia, guess what? We're going to work with each other closely, and Iran, we're throwing you on the outs.
Okay. Tie that into the fact, and this is something we'll talk about, the fact that the United States of America has become the gas station for the world.
It is so huge. It is so huge. And you're right. We're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about what is happening directly now in the Strait of Hormuz. We are going to talk about how the world's most famous death cult is literally on a rampage that is long and is patient. We have discovered a document that was created in 1982 by the Muslim Brotherhood.
Okay.
And the document, I'm going to read this, read you just a little section here. It says, the project, that's what it's referred to, lays out a patient, multi-generational roadmap for advancing Islam worldwide.
And it's worldwide Islam. And a lot of people kind of tend to forget, but Muslims believe that there's a, how do you say, a dynamic that supersedes the national dynamic.
Oh, it's big.
And that's something that we need to explain to Americans, because Americans see everything inside the borders of a nation. There are things that go across the borders of nations, and now that I think about it, it would be interesting to make that connection with the Jews too.
But listen to this. Listen to what it says. It's an operation manual that has guided Muslim Brotherhood networks, all of their networks, for over 4 decades. The 1982 Muslim Brotherhood document outlines a long-term plan to establish, this is their words, Islamic dominance worldwide by infiltrating Western institutions and creating parallel Islamic governance structures.
Why are we not surprised?
It's unbelievable. By the way, for those of you that live in the state of California, and for those of you that live in Orange County, even if you don't live in Orange County, let me read a new title for you. Orange County, California surrenders. Board of Supervisors issues first ever Eid al-Fitr proclamation at the demand of the Islamic Council, which, by the way, they're the Shura Islamic Council. Think about that for a second.
So the Muslim Brotherhood said, we're going to infiltrate Western institutions, and now we're seeing it done. I think in
the Board of Supervisors, brother, is saying Eid Mubarak.
Did you see the King of England giving a blessing for to the Muslims at the end of Ramadan, but not giving a blessing to the Christians?
He is a joke.
Okay, so here's a deeper question, and maybe this has to talk about everything that's going on, I think, and step back and look at more. It's something is happening that is on a deeper level than just an event here or there. They opened up a little Palestine, by the way, I think somewhere in the United States, an area or a zone called Little Palestine.
Well, speaking of Little Palestine, can I? I'm gonna bring this up because this is one of their stated intents. Let me read their strategic overview for you. Okay, this is their quote. This is what Islamic Brotherhood wants to do in order to infiltrate. It says directly out of the article that exposes this. Okay, there's three things. There's many of them, but there's three things. Number one, to permanently refuse friendship or coexistence with Jews. To engage in temporary cooperation with Islamic movements and anti-colonialist movements. To use, ready for this one? Palestine as a vehicle for the global Islamic State using jihadi cells.
There you go. And I want to coin a phrase that I don't think we've heard it here yet, and we need to start talking about it. It's called Palestinianism. It's an ideology of Palestinianism that exactly what you're talking about. I mean, it has become almost like a religion for those waving the Palestinian flags and all over the place.
And by the way, a quick call out. What's going on with Bob Jones?
Who's Bob Jones?
What's happening with their curriculum? Christian school curriculum.
Who?
I open up, and they do curriculum for homeschool too. I open up a Bible manual that's designed to be given to a first grader. And there's one section in the Bible manual that says Palestine during the time of Christ.
Again.
What's wrong with you, Bob Jones?
Is Bob Jones a real person?
The university. They're the BJ Press, basically, Bob Jones Press. What's going on?
No, this is a part of the bigger picture that we keep on talking about. And again, one of the things I want to talk about today is the growing anti-Semitism, which is another version of this, exactly
Yes.
what we're looking at. But it's not only there. The anti-Semitism is not only coming from the Muslims. I mean, it's not only Islam that's turning anti-Semitic, it's the Democratic Party that's turning anti-Semitic.
In this 40-year-old strategy book, they talk about taking the left-leaning politicians and bringing them into the cause of jihad through sympathies for the two-state delusion.
And then Tucker Carlson said, "What about me? What about me? I want to be a part of this." And now he's a part.
The whole Tucker Carlson thing. Do you know they also did a research project? Secular people did it to find out the number one funders of school education from outside countries. Do you know where Israel fell on that list?
No, way down at the bottom.
Israel's contribution to wanting to program the mind of students through media and all kinds of other things was so high, was so substantial that it didn't even make the list. You know the number one?
Qatar?
Qatar. Do you know what the number was?
No.
$6.2 billion.
Yeah, and then they say AIPAC's $300 million from Americans.
AIPAC probably doesn't even hit the $300 million mark. Not even close.
Yeah, but look at the enemies. And again, there was this meme that came out about all the people.
AIPAC 6 at 13, by the way. They're 13 on the rank.
And that meme that came out from all the people who say they don't want, don't make Israel first, but they're talking about Israel. Israel. Tucker mentions Israel more than anything else. I mean, if it's not Israel first, Tucker's making Israel first.
Tucker Carlson just needs to use his brain first. Tucker Carlson's whole brain is broken.
Yeah, but look at Megyn Kelly. She's bought into it.
Oh, are you kidding me?
James, we here watch them walk down that road.
100%.
We saw it happen, and we're seeing it happen. The only one that I haven't found that's kind of given up, or well, here's the thing: the Jews. Okay, PragerU. I don't know if you saw what Dennis Prager, when in his situation how he is, came out with something about Kaddis a little while ago, and Ben Shapiro is doing a great job. You think he should run for president?
Ben Shapiro? Does he want to run for president?
I doubt it.
No, I don't think he. No.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
and where's the elephant in the room? Another assassination attempt?
oh, that's a whole other thing. Like, don't even get me started on that disgusting Jimmy Kimmel clown.
Ugh. But I'm not even talking about that. I mean, did you read the manifesto? The guy, I read only parts of it. The guy who said, this is what I'm going to do. The guy.
Oh
that they
yeah.
caught.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh
and he
yeah.
says, yes, I'm going to save the world from this crazy maniac. And I'm willing to give up my life for this. And did you see the 60-minute interview with Trump yesterday?
Oh yeah. And Trump spanked that crazy girl.
Yeah, but the fact that
what an idiot.
Well, by the way, is it her or is it her production or is it her?
No, they all want to gain points by beating up our president. And our president doesn't deserve it.
So we got a lot to talk about today. Where do we want to go?
Bro, we have there's so much to talk about. This OPEC Plus thing might be one of the biggest issues. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Can you do a favor so it makes me easier if we want to go into it? Can you pull up the map we have of the Middle East?
Yes.
Let's see where the UAE actually is because that's relevant to this.
I will do that. But in the meantime, I'm going to do something that I haven't done before.
Uh-oh.
Okay?
It wasn't me. Whatever they
told
you.
No. I'm going to get up and I'm going to step in the other room for a few minutes.
Okay.
Because I have to make a phone call that I completely forgot to make.
All right.
That relates to the church building.
Oh.
So that's why I can't wait.
That's cool. That is cool.
So what we're going to do is you can update everybody.
So I'll give an update
On what are you updating them on so that I can keep aware?
Basically, I'm going to go from the Persian Gulf to what's happening right now to Lebanon and Hezbollah to maybe touch a little bit of Gaza. And if I have time, I'll go to Israeli politics.
I should only be about 10 minutes. But do me this favor.
Can we talk about you behind your back when you're gone?
You can if you want. Just don't give out too much information. Okay? But what I need you to do is I need you to bring everybody up to speed on what's going on right now with Israel's war cabinet.
Oh, okay.
Because of what's been happening with Lebanon. And I'll tell you why, because we're going to bring that into this discussion because it's an important discussion.
Okay.
Okay? So you're more than capable. You guys are in good hands, I promise you. And you can come a little closer to the middle.
Well, I'm going to let you get out.
Yeah. Okay. You're in good hands.
Right.
Sorry about this.
All right. What do we have to talk about? I don't know. Kirsty, you watching this? This should be interesting. Okay, so I'm going to take a couple of minutes and move the things around a little bit. Get that out of the middle. And let's go over to what is happening. Let's go from the inside out this time and not from the outside in. Let's start off with Gaza. I don't know. Nobody's heard about Gaza in a couple of, for a long time. There is, I'm going to say, a lull, a trend, a stop, a pause in what was happening in Gaza. The Hamas is still there, and the Hamas has not disarmed. Israel is holding a buffer around the edges of Gaza right now. So we're in this kind of weird situation that is not totally organized. There's still food going in, but the people in Gaza are living in the rubble, living in tents. They're disconnected from Egypt because Israel holds that side of the buffer zone. They're disconnected from Israel. And, they've just been pounded into the ground and everything stopped there. So every once in a while, somebody sticks his head out. There were talks about a democratic election inside Khan Yunis the other day, but it turned into a freak show. So I don't know if that's actually happening. So Gaza's on hold, basically, more than anything right now. Lebanon is much more complicated. While the negotiation, or whether the in and out between the United States and Iran is going on in the Persian Gulf, Hezbollah, which is an Iranian proxy that sits in the southern part of Lebanon, was being used by the Iranians to put pressure on Israel, and through the pressure on Israel to put pressure on the United States. Quick one. Lebanon is a sovereign nation, but it's very, very dysfunctional. So the southern part of Lebanon was taken up by the Hezbollah. Iran was funding, training the Hezbollah and using it to attack Israel. The idea is to use the connection between Israel and the United States to put pressure on Israel, to put pressure on the United States in the Persian Gulf. So the minute the war with Iran started off in the Persian Gulf, and Israel and the United States together were taking out threats in Iran, Iran pushed the button, and the Hezbollah started firing rockets into southern Israel. We don't have a fight with Lebanon. We don't have a beef with Lebanon, but they use their support or their love of Iran as justification. Israel is saying, wait a minute, then we're going to go in and we're going to bomb the hell out of them. We're not willing for this to happen. And then the Lebanese government is yelling, oh, we're the victims, we're the victims. So there's this attack and accuse kind of dynamic. And again, I'm gonna pump my website. Go to the Balagan Connection. I put a YouTube video up last night exactly about that. So we're going to attack, hoping that you will attack back. That's what happened with the Hezbollah. And when you attack back, then we turn into the victims because you're bombing buildings in Lebanon. And that's the dynamic that we're seeing right now. Because of that, the United States of America told Israel to reach a ceasefire with Lebanon. The thing is that we can have a ceasefire with Lebanon. It doesn't happen. If Lebanon does not disarm the Hezbollah, which is a proxy inside southern Lebanon, it's not going to work. So right now there's negotiations going on in Washington between Lebanon and Israel, but the Hezbollah is saying, we don't really care about your negotiations. We're going to do what we want to do. First thing we want to do is make Israel leave southern Lebanon. Israel's saying, we're not going to leave because you're just going to move in and use it as a base to attack Israel again. And that's the situation, and we're waiting to see what's going to happen on the final leg of this little discussion, and that is in the Persian Gulf. Iran has been bummed into submission. They can't really fight back. The only thing that they can do is threat the Straits of Hormuz. The United States started off with saying, oh, we can't allow that. But basically now is saying, okay, if you can do it, we can do it, and is keeping the Straits of Hormuz closed to anything that the United States doesn't want to go through. So we're again in this in-between waiting period. And the Iranians are saying, yeah, we want to negotiate, but every time we start to negotiate, the Iranians put some more things in, including connecting the situation in Lebanon to the situation in the Persian Gulf. So President Trump said, you know what? I'm not in a hurry. I'm going to be like this. We can wait. In the meantime, President Trump said, anybody who needs oil that is not getting oil out of the Persian Gulf, send your ships to the Gulf of America, which is now the southern borders of Louisiana and Texas, have become the gas station of the world. So we have tankers moving up, tying up to Texas oil. And I think yesterday I saw the first of those tankers that filled up oil in Texas. This time went through the Panama Canal, crossed over from this side to that side, and supplied oil to Japan. And it was first page news in Japan that an oil tanker filled up in Texas, moved through the Panama Canal, which is under American, not direct control, but will not be closed like the Strait of Hormuz. And now Japan has a regular, safe, secure supply of oil. And President Trump is saying, okay, I'm not in a hurry. I mean, the Iranian government is crumbling. Their economy is crumbling. They're going to have to agree to our terms: no nuclear weapons and no threatening the rest of the Middle East. And if they don't agree to their terms, we are going, and I heard somebody call it, lay siege. Siege warfare is what President Trump is doing right now. By the way, it's warfare. Let's make this clear. It's not like it's not. It is actual warfare. So that is the situation on the ground. The president is saying, you decide when you want to talk to us. I'm not sending negotiators to Pakistan anymore. He literally said to the Iranians, here's a telephone. Okay, you know what our number is. Call when you want to talk. And that is the in-between situation that we are in right now. And the question is, what's going to crack first? I believe that support for President Trump among his Republican base is as strong as any. So he's feeling that he can continue this. The question is, what will Congress do? And will they allow him to continue this? I think we have a 90-day kind of deadline coming up in a little while, and we'll see how that plays off. So the feeling that we're feeling in Israel is that we're in this in-between situation. And I got to tell you, on the ground in Israel, everybody's going back to school. Everybody's going back to work. Everybody's going back. In Israel, it's like nothing happened. But I'm sorry to say there's still fighting going on in southern Lebanon. The Hezbollah has broken the ceasefire agreement again and again, and Israel has not retaliated continuously. But a soldier was killed in southern Lebanon. A tank sergeant was killed in southern Lebanon actually yesterday. So there is still a fighting war. And yes, please pray for Israel. Pray for the people in Israel. Pray for the young soldiers that are in battle. My nephew Amiel is literally on the ground in southern Lebanon doing what I am doing regularly. That is a kind of, I'm going to say, a snapshot of the situation right now. Ooh. So, I want to step a little step further away and kind of connect to something that I think is going to be kind of interesting. We keep on saying that the war in Iran is a proxy war for the greater struggle that the United States of America is going to have with China. And I read a very interesting...
Hold that thought. Sorry.
There we go. So, can we be joyful and...
No, we know nothing yet.
All right.
Nothing yet.
So, before I forget this, I read a very interesting article about China's oil reserves. They've been getting ready for this war for a while, and it turns out that they have a lot more reserves than we think. That gives them a little bit more, how do you say, oil strength in all of this, because only about 15% of their oil comes from Iran through the strait.
China's oil reserves. I'm super glad you mentioned that.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. Okay. And by the way, Japan is a big issue here too.
Yeah.
But
we mentioned Japan.
Let's talk about this real quick.
We mentioned the oil going from Texas to
Panama.
Japan, through Panama. We actually mentioned.
Let me tell, because when you said China, you rang the buzzword Panama to me. Listen to this, bro. And we should talk to them about this. Like, it's a very important observation to make. The brilliance of the president is so stupidly strategic. What are the first two things he started talking about when he came into office? Besides Greenland.
Oh, I don't remember. I mean,
Panama Canal.
Yep.
Venezuela.
Yep.
Most people don't recognize the fact that those are the two most instrumental pieces in maintaining energy exchange in light of disabling Iran.
So here's the thing. I mean, the price of a barrel of oil has not crossed $100 again.
No. It has a few times, like just momentarily.
Yep.
But bro, oil is going to come crashing down. especially because of OPEC, the UAE announcement.
Which ties us into that.
Yeah.
Again, it's amazing to see how he's playing this game very
Oh.
well. Because if he didn't have control of the Panama Canal, which would become another Strait of Hormuz if he didn't have that control, and control over Venezuelan oil, then this whole situation would have been, oil would have gone through the roof.
Bro, China would have shut the canal down in 5 minutes. The moment we blockaded Hormuz, China would have shut down the Panama Canal. How do you like them apples?
Okay, so again, we're back at this situation. What I mentioned a while, we're like this in between. It feels like we're in the eye of a storm. I mean, most of the hurricanes gone over us. We're in this quiet area. By the way, quiet area in Gaza, quiet area in Lebanon, quiet area in Yemen, quiet area even on the Persian Gulf. I mean, it seems like everything's kind of settled down. But it so definitely hasn't settled down. And we're, well, here's the thing. Where's the next step? Where's he going with this?
Well, listen, he's going to let Iran die off. He's going to let their oil industry completely crash. And it's not going to be because he dropped a single bomb on it. That's the part that I think is the most hilarious.
So he's making America safer without putting boots on the ground in Iran.
100%.
Does that compute to people? And that's something that I think we need to spread the word about. America is safer because of what's happening, not less safe.
100%. 100%. Far more safer.
Yeah, but
the president himself might not be far safer. I mean, the kind of attacks that the left are lobbying at him, the encouragement of violence, all of that stuff, that's crazy.
James, I'm going to segue into something. I mean, here's my question. You do security, I do security. How did this happen again? How did this happen again? I know I've been on security details. I know what first round of security is, second circle, what you call it, third circle,
yeah.
Second circle, third circle. I mean, again, he didn't get into the first circle.
Not even close.
Okay, but he did break up against the second circle, okay? And where was the third circle? I mean,
the third circle was securing the president and moving him out.
No. I'm going to go back.
Or are you talking about the executive? Because I assume you're talking about the executive protection team.
Yeah, I'm saying the first circle is around the president on the event. The second circle is the venue, if you want to put it that way. Okay. The third circle is leading up to the venue.
Yep.
Now, you understand that he didn't get into the first circle. This, what was his name? Cope?
Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't get into the first circle, and they reacted accordingly. Okay? He didn't get through the second circle. The attack happened on the edge of the second circle of security. Okay? But he was completely through the third circle. The third circle is screening the people who are staying at the hotel. The third circle is allowing access or controlling access inside the venue of people who are there. The third circle in Israeli terms would be, roadblocks and outside the venue. So he literally broke, he literally, how do you say, attacked the second circle, and he didn't get through.
Yeah, but you have to understand how easy that can be. Can I just give you a scenario on how easy that can be? Okay, this takes place at a hotel. First mistake. Shouldn't be taking place at a hotel. That's why the president wants to build a ballroom. Okay?
Yeah.
But let me lay the scenario out for you. This is an important one.
Okay.
From what we know, this guy checked into the hotel 5 days prior.
Yes.
Okay? At the point where you're 5 days prior, Secret Service isn't anywhere near there securing the hotel. They'll start securing the hotel probably around the fourth day prior. Third or fourth day prior. So he's probably checking in. He's looking at when the Secret Service secures the building. My guess is he checks in prior to that time. There's no checks for whether or not some guy is righteous or legit when he gets checked into a hotel room. Certainly the Secret Service will take the guest list and run background checks.
And
they'll run his background check and go, he's a teacher, no big deal, he's harmless.
No. Okay, so here's the question. No, if they ran a background check and he didn't raise a flag, if they had his name and he checked in according to his name, if they ran a background check, and you know this as well as I did, if they ran a background check and his name came up and it didn't flag, it didn't flag enough for somebody to say, okay, we need to know where he is when he is, okay, then the background check was not done well.
Well, either that or a different name, or either, I mean, there's a lot of different
he
things.
was checked in, if I understand correctly, he was checked in under his name.
Okay, so either way, we don't know how they're background checking 5,000 people. I mean, we just don't know. But granted, that probably should have produced something because of the manifesto that he had produced.
Yeah.
But the manifesto wasn't made public.
Again, a background check, okay, you know the tools that they're using.
Yeah,
I mean, look at the tools. He should have come up on the flag. Now, either they didn't run a background check on everybody who has a key in the room at that time, okay, or the background check was run and he didn't get flagged because he wasn't flagged.
Yeah, my guess is he didn't get flagged. The background check was run. There's a lot of reasons why it wouldn't get flagged. They're still utilizing older, more antiquated tools for that type of thing.
I'm going to tell it like this, and this is something that I do know. If he got on a flight, on an El Al flight in LAX, showed his passport, he would have been taken into another room to
100%,
be searched.
100%.
Okay, so Israel had enough information that he would have been searched at a check-in desk in any El Al station in the world.
Yeah, but you have to keep this in mind, David. Like, just think through this with me for a second, because I put a lot of thought into this, right? So he checks in 5 days prior. Okay. He has to have access into that lobby area. First time he goes down into that lobby area, probably 4 days prior, 5 days prior, he gets thoroughly checked by Secret Service. He walks into wherever he needs to go. He does this 30 times, 40 times. Hey, how are you? They know him. They see his face. He's familiar. He's somebody who is staying in the hotel.
We've seen him in the lobby 3 times.
We've seen him a million times. Whatever. Doesn't matter. There's a guard that comes down when you've seen somebody enough and you've checked them enough times.
Which, by the way, is unprofessional and is a mistake.
It is. But
especially on the day of the
when
event.
I was in Texas, I was there for a massive event that had heavy security. Heavy security. Okay? By the time I went through that door, maybe the 15th time, they stopped checking my bags. They're like, oh, we know you. Come on in.
Okay.
So it could have been that. I mean, there's a lot we just don't know. The comfort level.
No, definite.
We just don't know.
And we're doing Monday morning quarterbacking, or what do you call it?
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, that's a term that's being used. My thing is, I think those agents did a phenomenal job to stop him, especially considering the fact that one Secret Service agent was shot and would have died had he not worn a bulletproof vest.
He said that he used birdshot in order not to kill anybody. I mean, that's
ridiculous.
But here's the thing. What I did appreciate was, and this is me from my Secret Service training, which I have done, is that you can't make sure that the enemy will not get the first bullet out, but you have to make sure that the second bullet is yours.
Yeah, 100%.
And they did a good job.
I've heard that many, many times, by the way. That makes sense.
You can't guard against the first bullet, but you have to be able to react fast enough.
I don't know because I didn't look into it enough. The multiple gunshots that we heard, were they all his?
No.
So there were Secret Service agents that shot him back. Was he actually shot?
Well, here's the question. As far as we see, no. But in the movies, you see somebody kneeling down and firing off a couple of rounds. But the guy that I saw laying on the ground did not have any blood around him, which means,
I mean, goodness gracious, bro.
Again, but I will say I didn't see any women on the security detail there. When they took Trump out, there were no women on the security detail.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, sorry, I was a little slow to compute there. But yeah, I mean, I'm mind-boggled, by the way, by the fact that he wasn't killed.
Yeah. So if somebody fires 3 or 4, I think somebody in the chat said 5 rounds or 4 rounds, and he didn't get hit, there's another dynamic going on.
Well, my guess is, I think I know what the dynamic is. My guess is every single one of them are trained to do everything they can to not kill the person if they don't have to because it's intelligence. So they can find out if he acted alone, if there's any other plots. That kind of stuff is very valuable to them.
If somebody has already fired shots in this environment, you do not know if he doesn't have a hand grenade and doesn't have a bomb.
No, I'm with you.
I mean, I'm going to say there are different countries in the world that even if he was laying down on the ground, would have not gotten close to him until he had been completely neutralized. I know people who do things that way. I'm not going to say who. But,
Yeah.
you have to make sure that he can't push a button, can't explode a device, can't pull out a pin of a grenade. I mean, the event is not over when he and again, I'm surprised that he wasn't shot. But again, let's leave it at there and let's say, thank God President Trump is okay. But it's just indicative of how much hatred is perpetrating on this on the platforms, and one of the things that I've been seeing is seeing how much people have been saying he needs to be killed on all these different platforms. Why are we surprised that somebody takes that and goes and does it seriously?
Oh, 100%. I mean, look at how. And by the way, this is somebody on the left. This is a leftist.
And here's where I'm going to tie things together. I'm going to make a Balagan connection. The hatred of Trump and the hatred of Jews somehow is going together.
Well, of course, because he is a supporter of the Jewish people.
There we go.
As he should be.
Well, he's doing much more than supporting. I mean, I think that he's being used by God right now and to change the situation in the Middle East.
Look, he loves this country, which is why he supports Israel. When it really comes down to it, he loves the United States of America, which is why he supports Israel.
There you go.
It's one of the many reasons why I choose to support Israel. Because
of America first.
You love this country, you're going to want to support Israel. It's that simple.
Okay, so let's can I see if we can unpeel a little bit of this, because this is kind of okay. Let's ask you. You're an American citizen.
Yep.
Okay. Do you support Israel first or America first?
Well, I don't think they can be separated.
Okay. So when somebody asked me or somebody asked anybody listening to us today, and they say, are you America first? I mean, I was on a Day of Independence march. We were marching in, I don't remember where, Yorba Linda, I think, with Israeli flags on the Day of Independence. And a lot of people were honking in support. But a couple of people, drove by with the FU kind of thing. But a couple of people drove by and said, America first, not Israel first. Meaning they saw us walking with Israeli flags in the middle of California, and they made a stress to say that walking with Israel flags means that you're not supporting America. And maybe one of the things that we need to explain to people here, that there's no light between supporting America and supporting Israel. Supporting America and supporting Israel, basically, in the world that we live in today, is the same thing.
Yep.
It is the same thing.
Yep.
You support Israel because you support America. You support America because you support Israel. I mean, it kind of correlates. And very interestingly, God has created a situation in the world today where these two factors are not separated. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody does everything right. I mean, I have problems with President Trump holding us back from finishing off the Hezbollah in Lebanon. I think that was a mistake.
Yep.
Okay, but
or at least south of the Litani.
Yeah. Again,
I mean, I think Israel should own south of Litani. I think we should just stay there and not move.
I think Israel should overthrow the government in Lebanon and put in a rational government that is not bowing down to the Hezbollah.
How do you do that if you don't control the southern portion?
Well, so here's the thing. You know that we tried to do it once, and it backfired, which is why I don't think we're going to do it.
It backfired because of a failure, a lack of resolve.
Okay, so do you know the story of what happened in 1983, 1984?
Yes.
Okay, we put in, we conquered all of southern Lebanon, all the way to the road that connects from Beirut to Damascus. So we had all of southern Lebanon under our control. That's the war I fought in 1982. I was on the Beirut-Damascus road, just so you know. Okay, put a map right smack through the middle of Lebanon, Beirut-Damascus road. I actually sat on positions overlooking that road. So Israel is in complete control of southern Lebanon. And then three things happened. One, we tried to put in a pro-Israel government, okay, led by a Christian, but who by the constitution in Lebanon, the president has to be a Christian, named Bashir Jumail. I don't know if you remember that name.
Yeah, vaguely.
He was put into power, and the idea was a constitutional government built in southern Lebanon that wasn't anti-Israel. That was number one. Number two, we allowed the Christians to have control over certain areas. What happened directly as a result of that, I don't know if you remember the Sabra and Shatila event, where Christians, not Israelis, but Christian fighters went into a Palestinian refugee camp in Beirut, southern part of Beirut, and massacred something like 230 people. It was terrible, it was awful, but they were relating to, or they were responding to, the Palestinians doing terrible things to the people inside.
Sure.
So the whole world goes crazy on that. In the meantime, the KGB helped the Muslims assassinate Bashir Jumail in Beirut. It was the first of the political assassinations. So the whole idea of a stable government in Lebanon falls through the cracks at that point. And that's where it went down the drain. We tried to do that. And again, this is something that we see again and again. Creating regime change from outside is usually and almost rarely actually works.
Yeah.
It didn't work in Vietnam. It didn't work anywhere else. What I always say, the best regime change examples were World War II, Nazi Germany, and Imperial Japan.
Yeah.
But it was done from the inside.
Yeah, they had to step in, and the people had to take it over. Undoubtedly, and that's the scary what if in Lebanon, which Lebanon is not nearly as consequential of an issue, but the bigger and more consequential issue is Iran.
So we're here right now, and very interesting. 2 hours ago, I spoke to a young, well, not so young, she's a little bit younger than I am, woman who owns a restaurant in Seal Beach. Well, maybe while I'm doing this, I will endorse that. Do you know the Bistro Cafe in Seal Beach?
Oh, yeah.
Right next to the pavilion?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you know,
right by Main Street.
Yeah. Do you know it's owned by a Jewish Persian or Persian Jew?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. And I met her today, the owner. And,
that's interesting.
We talked. I had breakfast there this morning before we started, and we talked. So if you want to have a really nice breakfast, because they do really nice breakfast in there, Bistro Cafe in Seal Beach. But what I'm trying to say is we had a very interesting conversation because part of her family, they came here after the revolution, after the Islamic Revolution.
Which
they're
is
Jews.
always the story with Persians in America.
There you go. But she said that they're not really ready to overthrow the government yet. According to what she understands, they're not going to overthrow the government. That is a very interesting saying because that says that we're going to have to deal with the Islamic version of Iran into the near future. It's not going to be over. Which is why the Gulf states have been careful not to come out anti-Iran because they're going to have to live with them, which is why what we started off this whole story with, the UAE and OPEC, is really, really interesting.
What drives her to say that?
She says that there's an element of pride among the Iranian people. It's an Iranian pride on one hand. On the other hand, they're very religious. So even if not everybody is totally into the religion, they tend to be more religious. Even the secular Iranians tend to be more religious, more connected to the Shiite religion than secular Americans. There are more traditional people.
I just think that's just nuts.
So here's the thing. She doesn't think that the government is going to, the people are going to overthrow the government.
So what does she say is going to happen?
She says we're going to be stuck with that kind of regime. And what she says, and I hope I'm not making a balagan here, but I've heard this from different sources, is if you're not going to be able to overthrow them completely, make them as weak as possible. The weaker they are, the better it is.
Oh, that's what this blockade is all about.
And that's what the blockade is about. And that's what UAE is doing.
Yeah, the UAE statement, I'm telling you, is a game changer.
Okay,
it literally is history being made in ways that nobody will fully understand the full implications of until probably the next few years.
Well, do you want to unpack it a little bit and see if we can explain what this means?
Yes. Yeah, that's an easy one,
because
by the way.
A lot of people, I mean, I grew up in a generation where the word OPEC became very famous after the Yom Kippur War.
Yeah.
In the 70s and everybody was talking about OPEC and how they control all the oil. Most people don't know what OPEC actually is. What is OPEC?
Okay, so very quickly in the chat, how many of you guys actually know what OPEC is? Say yes, 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 or no, 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 no. If I could actually describe it to you, tell me what it is. And I'm going to give you the most simple terms right now because it is very, very important for you to be able to understand this and understand the implications. Okay, we have a lot of people that actually know. Well, Manny just put yes, yes, yes up 3 times. Okay, good. So we have a mixed crowd here. We have some people that don't know what OPEC is, which, by the way, doesn't shock me. I would kind of expect to see more no's than I see yeses, just because we don't talk about OPEC a lot. And because we don't talk about OPEC a lot, it creates this confusion when it is being discussed. Okay, and by the way, if you believe the petrodollar has more of an association with the American dollar or with the American treasury, I want you to tell me your answer there as well. There's a reason why I'm going to do that. I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, let's get into OPEC in the most simple terms. OPEC and OPEC Plus are nations, represent nations that get together. They are an organization that get together. And in essence, the whole purpose of their existence is to control oil prices by controlling production of oil. And I'm oversimplifying it, okay? Because there's a lot of variables involved in this that are very, 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 very important. Dean, while I'm talking about this, can you do me a favor? Can you find me the article that actually has the UAE's official statement in it? If you can find that for me, that would be great. And then just send it to me.
So I just looked it up just so I put it there. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Country.
Yeah. But let me just say this, because I want to simplify this, because the acronym doesn't really mean anything to anybody anyway. They are, in essence, and have been, gangsters in many ways. When the Strait of Hormuz was shut down, the greatest fear behind the strait being shut down and the increase in oil prices centered around one issue. And everybody oversimplifies it, and they say, well, it centers around the fact that you can't get oil outside of the Strait of Hormuz. And if you can't get oil outside of the Strait of Hormuz, then the demand for oil is going to go up because you have less of it. And as a result of the demand going up because you have less of it, you're going to have oil prices go up. It's not quite that simple. 2 things that are really important. First of all, the type of oil that comes from the Middle East is the type of oil that we have more production capability, refinement capability of, than any other type of oil. Some of the sweet crude that we are now finding ourselves in possession with is something that we have less refinement capability of because of the quality of it and how it works. And that creates a specific problem, because what good is the oil if you can't refine it and process it to bring whatever it is that you need to do, whether it be making plastics, whether it be fuel, whether it be natural gas.
Numerous things. People don't understand that oil is not just used for gas. It's used for
a million other things.
Yeah.
A million other things. you do not have something that there is nothing that if you're wearing clothes right now, you are using a byproduct of oil. Okay? So with that said, let me just simply say, what they do when they get together is, and they are, I mean, Vin Dog said it right. They're kind of like racketeers. When they get together, what they do is they say, we must slow the production of oil right now because we have to control the price of it. When President Trump began to get to the point where his energy policy was expanding enormously, when he expanded the XL oil pipeline, for example, and he basically told Russia in his first term, you're no longer allowed to finish with the Nord Stream pipeline. There was a massive panic that got put into place with OPEC because OPEC was recognizing the fact, and OPEC Plus was recognizing the fact that the President of the United States was actually making very aggressive moves to establish energy independence in America. What scared them the most is they knew that the Permian Basin, which is in Texas, produces more oil than every OPEC country in existence. By the way, my friend David Mitchell, his grandfather was the one that discovered the Permian Basin. They own one of the largest leases on the Permian Basin.
Did they make the series Landman about him?
Yeah, but maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. Should we be watching Landman?
Yeah, but maybe. But let me just say this: if you've ever heard, well, I'm gonna lose my focus here. Let me go back to OPEC.
Okay.
Well, let me say this: if you've ever heard of the phrase of the word wildcats,
yep.
My friend David Mitchell, his family, they're the original Wildcats.
Ooh,
So just so you know, kind of an interesting thing. By the way, Pastor David will come down here at some point to actually do a Bible study. And by the way, we are doing a live show with him on Thursday, where we're going to talk about money and we're going to talk about OPEC and we're going to talk about all that stuff.
Okay,
but let me go back.
OPEC is like a monopoly creating. It's like
so they are a conglomerate of nations that together make the decision to whether or not to produce a certain amount of oil. And in that, although they don't physically control the oil prices, they do by proxy, based on the decision they make to reduce the production of oil versus increase the production of oil. So a great example of this
was the main idea to cut out the competition between them?
Not necessarily in between them, but the main idea behind them doing it is to regulate the dependence upon oil from their countries. So the idea here is that they were beginning to recognize the induction of certain elements from foreign entities in their countries, beginning to take control of their oil markets, and they saw the need to be able to regulate that in a very specific and functional way. And the best way that they could do that is by making decisions to control things that they had power over. I'll give you a great example of this. When we started drilling in Saudi Arabia in the 40s, I want to say the 40s, maybe the 50s, I think the 40s, maybe even 30s, there was a major compromise that was made by the Saudis.
Mm-hmm.
The Saudis allowed this repudiated behavior by the Americans to exist because what they were doing for the Saudis was remarkable. They were bringing oil into the game for them. They were discovering oil.
Side note, I don't know if you know, Karen Johnson's father was part of that.
Yeah, right. That's right. He lived in Egypt a good portion of his life.
Egypt and later in Saudi.
Yeah. So this is a very important thing to consider, because as the influence of foreign entities began to grow in these countries, specifically, by the way, this is why the GCC was established. One of the reasons. As that began to grow in prominence, the need to be able to regulate how business is done with them had to be created in a way that did not disrupt, or at least did not create a problem for the people that were giving them the resource that they have. So one of the ways that you could control the pricing of oil without putting a needle in the eye of the Americans that are helping you find it is by getting together with a group of countries and making the decision to basically limit oil production or increase oil production. In doing so, if you increase oil production, the oil prices drop. You limit oil production, the oil prices increase.
I'm looking at the list of the countries, by the way, that
Yeah,
are part of OPEC. One of the things I want to stress is that the United States is not.
That's
part
right.
of
Now,
OPEC.
and they can't be. Based on the contract, they cannot be.
And other oil production. I mean, Russia is an oil production superpower, not.
They wouldn't be, but you do have countries like Libya and Algeria and
There you go.
some
The
of these other
only
countries.
non-Middle Eastern country, which is interesting, is
One of the
Venezuela.
Baltics. Oh, Venezuela as
Venezuela
well,
is the
and
other one.
recently joined one of the Baltics, and I
we
don't
go.
remember the Baltic one, but Venezuela. So keep this in mind. When Venezuela was taken over, I promise you, that brought a lot of joy to the heart of the rest of the OPEC countries outside of Iran. And the reason for that is because if OPEC said, we're going to reduce our oil production to this level, and they all made the decision to do so, they would not be able to adjust the way they want to in a spread way amongst the other nations because of the rogue tendencies of Venezuela and the black oil market.
Okay, so we've got an idea what OPEC is and how much control and how much power they actually have.
Yep.
What is so amazing about what the UAE has done?
So let's do this. Let's start by, because I think Dean got it for me. Let's start by their official statement, okay? And I'm going to read it because the official statement is remarkable. And it's one that we should very much open our eyes to, okay? So let me see if I can find it here. I think Dean found it for me. Yeah, right here. Okay. These are their words. I'm going to read this because it's very, very important. Let me see here. Abu Dhabi, new energy age. Okay. Third party driven, reliable, responsible. Okay. We'll continue. All right, let me take a quote of this. This is very, very important. Okay? This is the most important section of their statement. Let me read this to you. We reaffirm our appreciation for the efforts of both OPEC and the OPEC Plus alliance and wish them success. Look what they go on to say. During our time in the organization, we made significant contributions and even greater sacrifices for the benefit of all. Notice what they say. However, the time has come to focus our efforts on what our national interest dictates and our commitment to our investors, customers, partners, and global energy markets. This is what we will focus on going forward. Notice this. And it goes on to say, the UAE reaffirmed its production policies, notice this, will be guided by responsibility and market stability, taking into account global supply and demand. It will continue investing across the energy value chain, including oil, gas, renewables, low-carbon solutions to support resilience and long-term energy system transformation. Okay, but this is the one that's really important. Watch this. This is where they basically destroy Iran. The UAE values more than 5 decades of cooperation, notice this, with partners, and here it is, and will continue active engagement in support of stable global energy markets.
So basically, after saying, "Oh, we agree that it's good to be to cooperate," they're basically saying we're going to look out for our interests, looking forward than the interests of the group. And what we're seeing is, I think, a dismantling of the power of the oil from the Middle East.
You maybe. But the reality of it is, it may be the it may be the re-enabling of a vitalized market that would not survive had it not done that. Why? Because OPEC as an organization and a conglomerate of decision makers cannot compete against the United States with its oil production capacity.
So what UA is saying is that I would rather be on Team USA than Team Gulf State.
They're going deeper than that.
Yeah.
They're saying, I see an opportunity to make a whole ton of new inroads for our economy by doing what is best for us and disengaging because Iran is dragging us down. Because what are you've got the list in front of you. What is one of the members of OPEC?
Iran is.
Iran.
Okay. I want to add on a level to this, and this is something that just came across the news a little while ago. We've known it for a long while, but it's just now become public. At the beginning of this war between Iran and the United States, okay, more missiles have been fired at the UAE than have been fired at Israel.
Oh, sure.
So from the beginning of this, a lot of people don't know this, Israel sent Iron Dome batteries to the UAE.
Which, by the way, when you told me this, I was thinking that may be one of the smartest moves Israel has made in this whole conflict. Because by them providing them this battery and telling them, here you go, two things had to happen. Number one, they had to have gotten the permission from the United States of America.
Definitely.
They couldn't have done it without permission of the United States. Yeah. Number two, the war cabinet in Israel would have had to have recognized the strategic implications of what was happening and would have had to have bought in on it because of what it could have done with other members of the GCC. Now, the thing that's brilliant about this is they readily did it, and now the UAE is put in a position where they can now negotiate with Saudi Arabia, get close with Saudi Arabia in the selling of oil in a different way than they did through OPEC. And now the opportunity for direct trade with Israel with respect to economic normalization has just been quadrupled.
By the way, did I mention the fact that the UAE was the first country that signed the Abrahamic Accords?
Well, we know that.
I mean, that kind of ties into this.
We know that.
So the UAE is actually siding with Israel, is pulling away from its strategic ties with the Gulf states, and is becoming a part of, I mean, we need to give a name for it because we keep on talking about this.
They're not even siding with it. So let me just say how awesome this is. They're not even siding with Israel per se officially. They already have done that. They're in a normalization agreement with Israel. What they're actually saying, which is deeper, by the way, and more important than them saying the UAE is siding with Israel. I want you to track me with this. What they're saying is, we will go to whatever lengths necessary to protect the economic agreement we have with Israel. And we think Saudi Arabia can be a big part of that. Why? Because they're thinking about the Red Sea.
But you understand that the Gulf states are sitting by, Saudi Arabia included, and saying, okay, let's see how this works out for them.
Sure they are. But that's because of the security concern that they have. The problem is Iran thinks they're going to push those guys over the edge by firing into them, and now they're being forced to basically go back and say, no, enough's enough. We're now going to claim independence, and we're no longer going to participate in your racket because you're hurting our market.
So we're seeing a split, okay? And I think we've talked about this in the past, but I want to mention it again.
My sister is the bomb. I think she just sent me the official statement.
Okay, so we're seeing on one side, Iran, Pakistan. Do you think that Turkey's on that axis? Iran, Pakistan, Turkey, I'm going to say Qatar.
They have to be.
On one side. And on the other side, we're seeing Israel, UAE. I'm going to go further out. India on one side, Greece on the other side.
But
okay.
Turkey, but think this, not to cut you off, because think about this, because you mentioned Turkey. Turkey's in this very interesting spot. Because if you remember, Yair Lapid, idiot, He's an idiot, complete idiot.
Well, he's being how do you say? Him and Bennett have become.
Oh, they're both in bed together. They're sick. Anyway, matter of fact, between the two of them, when he was a foreign minister, and Bennett was on his his BDS syndrome stupidity, they gave rights to the portion of the Mediterranean that they owned to Turkey in the name of some delusionary peace. And if you remember, Turkey was very excited about it because they immediately started drilling. Netanyahu, when he comes into office, says, shove it up your rear. This doesn't belong to you. Then he begins to realize that big tension with Turkey erupts, and he does something brilliant. He says, I'll tell you what, we already have our drills, we already have our ogres, we already have all of our equipment over here. You can take everything that is, in essence, west of it. And everybody thought, oh, Bibi's gotten weak, he's so blah, 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 blah. Turkey says, great. And then Turkey starts drilling, and they find out they have nothing. Absolutely nothing. So Turkey has officially acknowledged the fact that it is weak in the area of the production of energy.
Yeah.
And it is now heavily relying upon the relationship that Iran has left with OPEC to be able to manipulate the market, because Russia will not provide oil to Turkey because of Turkey's association with NATO.
Which brings me to a bigger picture. Look at what President Trump is doing. NATO is disintegrating. The UN is losing its power. This OPEC is falling apart, because we're going to see OPEC fall apart
100%.
as a result of that. He is restructuring the world order. And here's the thing, and I'm going to say it again and again and again. Okay? The United Nations did not put America first. So he's going to take away their power. NATO did not put America first. So he's going to take away their power.
100%.
OPEC did not put America first. What President Trump is doing on all of these different scenarios is making America great again.
Yeah, but
I can't help but say, when you look at it from this point of view.
Yeah, but I do want to say this with OPEC. The president is a very transactional man. So OPEC was not being viewed by the president as a group of nations that had an obligation to America for the purpose of defense, or the purpose that you would typically see associated with the type of traditional ally type of relationship you might expect. He viewed them transactionally. He viewed them as a market force that basically controlled the production of oil. Thus, his desire to control or manipulate it is very different than, let's just say, a NATO type of organization.
Okay.
However, the real opportunity that exists here, and this is one that's very important to understand, centers around the fact that the UAE is basically telling the whole world, we now stand in place of the oil market that Iran represented. It's ours now.
Yep. And we will supply the oil to whoever needs it.
Right.
And not based on our, constraints within OPEC. That is exactly what's happening.
Right. And a lot of people might say that Saudi Arabia now is going to increase their tension with the UAE as a result of this, because they're going to fight for the position, not even leadership. They're going to fight for the assets that are going to be put on the table by Iran abandoning, by the oil wells being abandoned by Iran. I think that that's actually going to do good for them. I actually think it's going to mend their relationship. And I think the reason why it will mend their relationship is because it gives Saudi Arabia the flexibility to pursue an avenue they've never been able to pursue, understanding that their future isn't in oil the way that a lot of people always thought it was.
Okay.
They see oil as the mechanism that they utilize now to fund their other assets, which bring in greater wealth for them than they've ever known possible. Which basically is AI and all the other things that's going on.
Why are they not afraid of Iran then? I mean, they're doing this. Iran's got to be furious.
It's not that they're not afraid of Iran. It's the fact that they have more confidence in the security implications involved with what they're actually doing. They recognize now that the GCC will stand with them because they themselves are affected in the same way.
There we go.
So the security implications are far less of a concern, especially with Saudi Arabia knowing that they're on the verge of normalization with Israel. And if normalization happens with Israel, it will immediately turn into a NATO-like relationship. Why? Because President or Prime Minister Netanyahu already called for it.
Well, look, what's
He wants
happening.
a Middle East NATO.
UAE is being attacked, and Israel is sending crucial weapon systems
100%.
in order to keep them safe.
So I think it's funny that the president is calling what he's doing in Iran as an excursion because he's right. The excursion that he's creating within that context is opening up this massive geopolitical door to allow Saudi Arabia to see the effects of a potential security breach and understand that they can rest confidently that their interests are still protected as well as their assets.
So what's at the end of all of this?
My guess, Saudi Arabia becomes one of the most powerful AI countries because of its energy producing capability outside of traditional oil. Meaning their electrical plants that function using nuclear capacity, fed by what they do with oil, will create a bigger comeback with them than anything else.
Yeah.
And by the way,
But don't forget, there's no creativity in Saudi Arabia. They're not creative. They're not, how do you say, they're not going to create, they're not going to be on the edge of technology. They might be able, like China, to produce what other people have created.
now if we were private and you said that privately, I would tell you, David, don't ever say that again. That's what I would tell you. And I would say, don't let anybody know that you feel that way. and I'll tell you why. Because Mohammed bin Salman, in the last 12 years, let's just say, has been doing something more remarkable than most. Now, I'm going to say this. If you were to compare the level of innovation that sits in Israel to the level of innovation that sits in Saudi Arabia, hands down, Israel wins. But the level of innovation that Saudi Arabia is actually deploying, not because they have a bunch of inventors that live in Saudi Arabia innovating,
Yeah.
but because they're buying it
Yeah.
from other sources, is actually remarkable. If you see the line, if you see,
Is the line still in place?
Oh, my goodness.
Are they building it?
bro, you could see it from satellites now.
You explain what the line is. I mean, I'm not sure I can give
It's
you a whole.
this massive internal city. It's a city that's indoors, basically. It's, and by the way, it goes for miles and miles and miles and miles. It's so big you can see it from the satellite.
So how wide is it?
Oh, I'd have to go and grab the specs, but it's
yeah.
miles.
No, it's long. It's miles.
Miles long and something like a few miles wide.
Oh, okay. We're talking about a massive structure, building, whatever you want to call it, probably a couple miles wide and 100 miles, 200 miles long.
Maybe 200 or 300
running
miles
through
long.
the middle of the desert. That is going to be a totally inclusive kind of environment.
Yeah. So what you're looking at is something remarkable. What you're looking at Saudi Arabia producing certain levels of innovation that are unlike any other. And by the way, I say that because they have to defeat a few things, okay? They're defeating the problem that they're facing right now with scholarship in Islam that's beginning to show that Mecca doesn't have the history that everybody says it does. Mohammed bin Salman already knows that. He recognizes that. The problem with OPEC falling apart, for lack of a better term, is not as big of a problem as a lot of people think. As a matter of fact, much of the deal making that was happening with President Trump in the Middle East when he first came into office in his second term was done specifically in anticipation of this moment. They knew that this would happen. This has everything to do with the security guarantees. This has everything to do with the failure that took place in the first term. Because if you remember the first term, the president has a meeting with all of these countries. And he says our common enemy is Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And they all said, yeah, we agree. And when they started making progress to deal with that, you had President Biden that came into the picture, and he disabled everything. He reversed it. Made the Yemeni Houthis no longer a terrorist organization.
Obama was so bad.
Yeah, he held that literally put the hands behind the back of the Saudis from defending themselves. They could no longer use American patriots because the Yemenis were no longer designated terrorists.
So who's the next nuclear power in the Middle East?
My guess is if they do not shut down Iran the way that they need to, it's Saudi Arabia, hands down.
Yep.
And it may be Saudi Arabia even without it. They've already signed a memorandum of understanding allowing Saudi Arabia to produce nuclear capacity that relates to energy consumption.
Well, I've heard that they've already earmarked or bought 2 or 3 devices from the Pakistanis.
Not only have they bought devices from the Pakistanis, they've bought devices from the Americans, and they've purchased raw materials, by the way. When they got along with Iran for like 5 days, they bought a bunch of yellow cakes. So this is not like we're not talking about like some small deal. This is a major deal.
I'm going to pivot, okay? And I see what's on your screen over there on the right. And from the Babylon Bee. And I was literally watching the reporting of the event where the CNN reporters actually started off by saying, oh, how do we know that he came to assassinate President Trump? Maybe he came to assassinate some of the reporters, including CNN reporters that were at that dinner.
Oh, yeah. It's the humor. The humor behind it is funny, but it's actually sad when you think about it.
I mean, literally, they said maybe they came to assassinate the CNN report. He came to assassinate. How do we know that he was attacking President Trump?
They had to make light of it because of how ugly it is.
Well, now he made it very clear that that's what he's going to do, but they're still trying to pull it off, that wasn't his intent, that wasn't his idea. And they're going to try to say maybe it wasn't him. Now we're going to get that again.
Yeah, no, of course. Of course. Of course. It's going to be ridiculous. I mean, look, did you see what Jimmy Kimmel did?
About millennia?
Yeah.
Yes, that's...
What a pig!
No,
what a savage pig!
I want to say something about that I think is critical. The Bible is very clear again and again and again about how you treat widows, and that's what Jimmy Kimmel said. And what's going on with Erica Trump?
Erica Kirk.
Erica Kirk. Excuse me, Erica Kirk is so totally unbiblical in a basic area. The Bible made an issue of respect and support for widows again and again. It is seen as the one of the basic cores of a functioning society, functioning biblical society, is how you treat your widows and how you treat your orphans. And again, this kind of dynamic triggers my spiritual soul.
100%.
As much as anything else. And just to hear him say it like that, or how do you say, an expectant widow?
It's a big deal. I should read some of this, by the way, and then we'll go back to the assassination thing because it ties into something really important, okay? My sister gave me this article. It was written by a guy who goes by the handle Power Pundit, and I think it's very brilliant. He pretty much mimics very much my view. There's a few things I disagree with here, but I'll actually mention it. But let me read this to you. Okay? Tell me what you think about this. He says the UAE's decision to exit OPEC and OPEC Plus is a high-stakes pivot into a new energy world order, which he's right. Here's my breakdown of the UAE's move, the game theory at play, and why they might know something about Iran's real circumstance that nobody else knows, which we already know this, okay? Number one, he calls it the strategic solo run, okay? He says, imagine you're in a group chat with a bunch of neighbors for 50 years. The rule has been we all agree to grow only 3 tomatoes each. No tomatoes stay expensive, and we all stay rich. This is OPEC. Yep. That's what he says. It's what I described, right?
Okay.
It's less of a club and more of a synchronized hoarding agreement.
Okay.
Okay? I actually think it's a racketeering organization in many ways. Okay?
We've seen ones like that. That'd be McDonald's and Burger King and In-N-Out all deciding what the price of hamburgers are.
Of a burger might be. Yes, in many ways. In many ways. Okay? But it's a good description. I like the way he describes it. Okay? He says, and the UAE has just left the chat. Now, the logic. The UAE has spent billions boosting its production capacity to 5 million barrels per day. By the way, at 5 million barrels a day, that's 4 million more than Iran.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of barrels. Okay? Under OPEC Plus rules, they were essentially being told to leave that expensive machinery gathering dust.
Yeah.
In other words, don't do it. The independent path. By leaving, the UAE is no longer bound by group quotas. They are betting that they can maximize their own volume while Saudi Arabia and the others feel forced to keep up or keep their own production low just to prevent a total price collapse. It's an independent actor strategy. They're prioritizing national revenue over collective price fixing. I actually think he's wrong there. I think the natural view would be that this is exactly what UAE is trying to do. I actually think they're trying to go down the bigger picture, and that's break up the organization. That's what I think is happening. Look what he goes on to say. He says the game theory part is that the UAE is better on the OPEC and OPEC plus countries staying. If every country leaves, the resulting oil glut would crash oil prices and could be catastrophic for energy industry worldwide. But the one variable he doesn't take with that is, because what he's basically saying is he's hoping on the fact that OPEC will stay together so that they can continue to reduce the cost or reduce the production of oil, thus raising the cost of oil, thus maximizing the UAE's profit. But the UAE doesn't think that simple-mindedly.
What if OPEC falls apart?
That's the point. If OPEC falls apart and there's no longer any regulation on oil, then the oil prices will come crashing down. But the variable that he's not thinking through is if oil prices come crashing down, the profits will be higher to the person who manages its distribution first. So think about it like this. He says it's in the best interest of the UAE to keep all the oil countries, the OPEC countries, still under OPEC because it puts them at an edge to be able to sell more while everybody else is selling less.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. That may work for a few days. I'm being facetious. Maybe a month, 2 months.
Mm.
But what they really want to see happen eventually is they want to see all of those alliances collapse because now they'll start competing for selling oil at the lowest bidder, right? In other words, they're going to start selling prices for much lower. But the name of the game for the UAE is not to keep oil prices up. The name of the game for the UAE is to be first to the market.
Exactly.
And by the time OPEC or the members of OPEC separate and begin to develop how they now sell oil, it completely changes. Think about it like this. Let's take a look at Libya, for example. Or let's take a look at Algeria.
Do they still exist?
Yeah. Libya and Algeria are countries that produce oil, not massive amounts, but they produce oil. And their membership to OPEC allows them to sell their oil on the back end. Meaning they're not selling it to retailers.
Mm-hmm.
They're selling it to other countries for the purpose of their own production and sales. If OPEC collapses, who does Libya sell it to? Who does Algeria sell it to? Well, they have to start selling it to outside people. They have to start selling it to everybody in the market.
Yeah.
Well, the time that it's going to take for them to develop the infrastructure to be able to do that could range. It could be years. So in the meantime, the UAE will go to them and say something like this. We understand you have a problem. We understand you're only selling through back channels. We'll continue to pay you while you build your infrastructure.
Yep.
And we'll take it and sell it at a much better price.
So is oil going to go down or going to go up
way
as a
down.
result of this?
You'll see $60 a barrel.
Oh, is that good?
I think it will be.
Okay.
Good for us. Good for us. Because again, just because the price of oil is that low doesn't mean everybody's going to be able to readily sell it.
Oh, and here's the thing. I mean, we live in California. How come California has such high gas prices where actually we manufacture enough gas for
Because
itself?
the taxes, that's why. Right now, if you're paying $7 a gallon for gas, $4.50 of that is tax.
Are we going to get a new governor that's going to change
Man,
it?
I sure hope so. I sure hope so.
Okay.
So this is what he says, and this is, again, where I completely disagree. Okay? I'll read the last paragraph again. He says, the game theory part is that the UAE is betting on other OPEC and OPEC plus countries staying. If every country leaves, the resulting oil glut would crash oil prices and could be catastrophic for energy industry worldwide. He's not taking into account the relationships that they have amongst the retailers, and he's not taking into account the refinement capacity of the other countries that are buying from them.
So, okay.
So they have to fix the process before the oil glut could ever happen.
So they're getting out based on the fact that they think that it will not fall apart.
Right.
Because if it falls apart, it's not good for anybody.
Well, if OPEC falls apart, it's a massive windfall for the UAE. The UAE actually makes more money because the UAE were first to the table. Think about it like this. Well before the UAE made this announcement, they were already preparing for interfacing with forward markets.
What does the United States of America get from OPEC falling apart?
What it's getting right now, more people going to its
to
the
store, gas station and
buying oil, but perhaps
Gulf of America. I mean, you should start a gas station.
But perhaps more significantly, they get security. They get security guarantees, because what it does for the United States of America is it creates the containing element that forces America to remain energy independent. Because as the low prices for oil begin to drop, and they get lower and lower and lower, by default production capacity will have to slow down because you can only burn so much and you can only refine so much.
So we're living in very interesting times.
Oh, 100%. So look what he says here for the Saudi and the Trump factors. So he says, the Saudi rift. Relations with Riyadh have turned frosty since the coalition breakdown in Yemen. The UAE is tired of Saudi Arabia calling the shots on oil prices while also competing for the same foreign investment. See, I don't agree with that.
Interesting, no?
Because I don't think the UAE's disagreement with Saudi Arabia centers around oil or position in OPEC. I think that the disagreement that Saudi Arabia and the UAE has is something that's dealt on a functional idealism that can't be understood by a lot of people.
Because they were at blows almost with each other probably about 6 years ago,
100%,
5 years ago.
100%.
Like
and you remember what that was over, right?
The whole balagan in Yemen.
Yes. It was exactly over that. It was exactly over the Houthis and what they were doing in the southern portion of the Arabian Peninsula and the UAE's refusal to cover their flank above Oman. That's exactly what that was. So that's the bigger issue here. Hold on, my wife called me, so I just want to make sure everything's okay. So what he says here is good analysis, but I think it's very I think it's kind of narrow in a degree. Okay? Like, look what he says. He says here, this is as far as the U.S. alliance, Trump has consistently called for more supply to lower gas prices, but exiting OPEC, the UAE is aligning itself directly with Washington's energy abundance agenda. In exchange for lower prices, the UAE likely expects heightened U.S. security guarantees,
okay,
which are crucial given the current war and how Iran has attacked them relentlessly. Now, the problem with that is, which he's right, he's completely right, but that also goes hand in hand with security guarantees for Saudi Arabia, because of what it in essence has to do in the positioning of OPEC as it gets dismantled. And this is where the petrodollar discussion comes in. So this is where we talk about U.S. treasuries.
Let's go back to the beginning. Iran doesn't disintegrate. Iran stays in some power. They're going to be a threat.
Some power.
They're going to be a threat to the UAE no matter what situation is. They're going to be a threat to Saudi Arabia. I mean, one of the things people don't understand, part of what Iran was threatening, both in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, was not only their oil facilities, but their desalination plants,
Yes.
which is the source of water. And then people don't understand that in the Middle East, that is much more critical than other dynamics. That
Yes,
could be
and this relates to the well in Mecca.
a well.
One's very specific well where the water desalinization issue became a big deal. That's a whole other story, by the way. I know some of you look at me and go, "What are you talking about?" There's a lot there.
Okay, so
There's a lot there.
what else do we want to connect to today before we kind of?
Okay, so I think we've done a pretty decent job in covering the UAE issue.
James, I'm putting a call in. Maybe not today, but we need to go deep into unpack the anti-Semitism going on.
We can visit it right now for a little while.
Well, it's a lot deeper than we're talking about, and I want also people to think about it. I want to go and next week kind of sit down and really unpack this in a way that I think needs to be heard, because I think there's something going on deeply that everybody watching us is going to have to play a part in. Everybody listening to us is going to have to play a part in. And maybe my unique position where I'm coming from on this is that on one hand, I am the the recipient of this anti-Semitism. Okay, I'm being hated for being a Jew. On the other hand, what I see very scary is the rise in Christian-based, Christian-valued anti-Semitism.
Yep.
People who are becoming anti-Semitic out of their Christianity, and here's my main issue. I am a Jewish follower of Jesus. As a Jew, I'm not surprised that Christians hate us, because historically, Christianity has had an anti-Semitic problem with Judaism. But as a Christian, I'm scared, worried spiritually for my brothers and sisters in Christ who are walking down this path.
Yep.
And I think this is something that I would like to address, but this is a little bit deeper, because we have to kind of unpack what anti-Semitism is on I'm going to say a historical level, on a social level, okay, but also on a spiritual level, and kind of.
Well, and listen, it goes without saying, but what we're dealing with here is all primarily driven by what we would call the spiritual level. And the bigger problem that we're facing with anti-Semitism is that it's a cancer that actually destroys the people who give themselves to it. It's never going to destroy the Jews. We already know the story with the Jews.
We're going to be here at the end. I mean,
100%.
I don't know if you heard what I taught on Sunday night.
I heard the whole thing. It was awesome. You did a great job.
Psalm 91.
Yeah,
basically
but it was Moses that wrote it.
Yeah, well, I like to use David there.
I know.
But basically, one of the things that God says in Psalm 91 is, you see them falling out to the left and the right. You see on the left the thousands, and on the right the tens of thousands fall behind you. And think about the Jews who have watched empires fall behind us over the years again and again and again. And I don't know who said it, but somebody says if you want to see the indication of the beginning of a fall of an empire, it's when an empire turns on its Jews. That's a sure sign.
I think that's a healthy statement.
Beginning to fall apart.
I think that's a healthy statement.
So I do feel a need to speak to Christians about anti-Semitism. Like Paul said, that if you see your brother falling beside you, talk to him. And I think I need to talk to Christians, and I need to talk to you, and through you to other Christians, about anti-Semitism becoming a major issue inside the Christian church. And I think that's something that we have to go to.
Well, and I think a big part of what's happening right now that's accelerating it, putting it down a path of acceleration, is you're dealing with people who are evil. Now, don't get me wrong. You have stupid people that are out there, like legit stupid people, like literally they have low IQs, like Ilhan Omar, okay? Like she's stupid. She just has a low IQ.
Did you hear the last one that came out a little while ago?
No.
She was talking about the fact that, she says that, the people are stupid, and has a problem with stupid people. And she was saying, ever since the United States fought in World War XI, then something was stupid. And you know why she said World War XI?
Because she read
She
the
was
teleprompter that showed 2.
It showed.
Like I said, she's a dumb female. But
She
her
literally-
hatred for
She
Jews,
literally said World War XI.
but that's my theory. Her hatred for Jews made her stupid. Her hatred for Jews made her stupid.
But again, I see the church, and that's what has me worried. And you know what I think about this. This is my calling, James. Somebody asked me about what version I used on the Psalm 91. It was a New King James. I usually use the New King James. So there's a lot of arguments about that.
Yeah, because you use a New King James?
Yeah,
It's a great translation.
I like it.
It's a great New King James is great because of people who don't like Elizabethan English, which most people don't know even how to read Elizabethan English. You know what I mean? I think it's absolutely great.
Well, verse 1 of Psalm 91 mentions, El Shaddai.
Yeah, El Shaddai. Yeah.
El Shaddai, which in
Which
most
Chuck used to say Shaddai. Chuck, come on, bro.
So most people translate it into God Almighty, but it's so it's so different. By the way, I'm thinking about, and here I want your opinion on this, starting a Zoom class where we talk about different interpretations of Hebrew terms.
I told you it was a good idea.
Yeah, I got to get this back
Okay,
on.
but I do have to touch up on this because I want to finish the thought here, right?
Okay.
So Ilhan Omar is a stupid female.
Wait a minute. Is she stupid because she's female, or
Do you want me to say
Christy?
stupid male?
Christy?
Do you want me to say stupid male? Christy's a smart female.
Definitely.
My sister, brilliant female.
Thank you.
Okay, but my point is this. Ilhan Omar is one of the dumbest females that has ever walked through the doors of Congress. She's stupid. And can I just say this right now? Jew hatred makes you stupid. Jew hatred makes you stupid.
It makes you stupid, or is it a result of stupidity?
It's both.
I mean, we're doing chicken and egg here.
It's both. Look at Tucker Carlson. Do you understand how incredibly stupid Tucker Carlson has become?
Oh, my God. So
He's thrown out every sense of reasoning.
But look at his following, James. And how do we explain the following? What Jews always say about anti-Semitism and this kind of thing. We're not surprised that there are people that hate us. We're surprised that normal people buy into the hatred.
It's past established practice. It's the same thing that contributed to the stupidity during World War II Germany. It's people that didn't have the leadership and the guts enough to say what you're watching and understanding as mainstream acceptance is destructive. These are people that tell convincing stories.
Oh, no. By the way, it is convincing. Somebody mentioned here, there are people who are asking me, seeing what's happening in the Middle East, how can you support Israel? Seeing what's happening in Gaza, how can you support Israel?
But you know what's hilarious to me? Tucker Carlson says, look at what's happening in Gaza. How can you support the atrocities of the Jewish state? Bibi Netanyahu's an evil man. Yet, you just witnessed the president that you defended, Pezeskian.
Mm-hmm.
You just defended Iran, who in the course of 1 week eliminated 55,000 people that protested the ideals of the IRGC. These are not people that came in and raped Iranians and ran them over and burned them to the ground and all that. No.
So I'm going to play a role here, and I'm going to say this. The fact that the Iranians did it doesn't make it right for the Israelis to do it.
It's not, but the moral equivalence argument is about as stupid as Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, but let me say something. There's no genocide in Gaza.
It's ridiculous.
Nobody is carpet bombing. Yes, there is destruction
How
in
many?
Gaza.
Can I just ask you this question? How many Jews were in Gaza in 2000? Before Ariel Sharon said, no more missiles, not one more missile.
150,000.
150,000. If you include the IDF right now in Gaza, how many are in Gaza?
A couple thousand.
Now let's go back and say this. How many were in Gaza on October the 7th?
None.
0.
None. I pulled out of Gaza. I was part of the pulling out of Gaza.
How many, whatever you want to call them, Palestinians were in? How many of them were in Gaza in 2000?
I'm going to guesstimate about 500,000.
500,000. How many were in Gaza on October the 7th?
1.2
million. Easily 1.2 million. Where's the genocide, stupid? Where's the genocide? Ilhan Omar? Where's the genocide? Tucker Carlson? Where's it the genocide? Megyn Kelly, you idiot.
But it looks good, and people are doing what looks good. They feel good attacking Israel. So here's what's happened. Somehow, the hatred of the Jews has become, how do you say, a sweet smell for a lot of people.
It's true.
And here's the thing. The Bible said it was going to happen. But I'm saying, again, I can understand when it happens in people who are not biblical people. My problem was with the biblical reading people who allow this to happen.
Yeah, I agree. And it's an issue we're going to have to deal with. We'll tackle it tomorrow.
Let's do it.
We're going to have to tackle it tomorrow. Or next week.
Next week.
Okay, one other quick announcement. I am very looking forward to it because it's going to happen. We're going to have fun. I got a live show with my friend David Mitchell on Thursday. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about OPEC. We're going to talk about how it's influencing the Middle East. There's a lot of cool stuff that's there. I am super excited about what's going to happen there. Okay, now with that, let me just do this really quickly. Let me read the super chats. I want to do that real quick, and then we'll take a few questions. David, if you can, identify any questions you have.
I'm looking.
And let's take a look at some of these. Brad Brunn, you say Ilhan Omar's California winery was dissolved. Apparently, they didn't make money. Someone should have considered moving it closer to Kamala and Pelosi. I would think so. Brad Brunn also says,
aren't Muslims not supposed to drink wine?
I know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The only president who received more death threats during office than President Trump was Bill Clinton. But most of those were from his wife. That's hilarious, by the way. I heard about the soldier who won $400,000 betting Maduro will be captured. Wonder if Candace Owens bets money something. Wonder if Candace Owens bets money something stupid and untrue will be said on her podcast. Yeah, that's about right. Vindog, we love you, brother. You say support for Israel is support for America first. Christina Hardgrove, you say for America to do well, we need God's blessings. One way that as a nation we can do that is to be pro-Israel. Amen to that. Jody, thank you for your amazing generosity. Go ahead and make our day, Scooby-Doo. You say greetings, Pastor James and David from Hershey, Pennsylvania. We love you.
Amen.
Mikey Sanchez, very fine man. Wonderful, wonderful man of God. I love you, Mikey. I miss you. Can't wait to see you and your family again. All right. You got some questions?
I didn't, but somebody did ask something that I can't find it right now. But
what was it about?
About seeing the destruction of Gaza is hard to frame what's happening as good to a lot of Jesus-loving Christians. And I can So what I'm getting is, and I'm hearing this, by the way, I've been dealing with this.
I would love to respond to that if you let me respond
inside
to that
the family. Let's start off with the beginning. What happened in Gaza is not good. It's not good. It's not positive. There's nothing positive about what happened in Gaza. There's nothing positive about what happened before what happened in Gaza. There's nothing positive about what happened in Gaza. This story of Gaza is the story of sin, our sinful nature. When you do sinful things, in many cases, the result of that is painful, is sad, is sorrowful, because God does not deal with sin. God does not deal with evil. Israel had to deal with evil. Not that what happened there was good. It's not good. It's not positive. It's more like, I'm going to use the example of an operation that uses knives and uses procedures that are painful and hard, but you cannot deal with evil without being willing to deal with that.
But David, I want to throw something else at your attention.
Let me just finish this. Israel did not destroy Gaza to destroy Gaza. Everything that was destroyed was in, I'm going to say, for lack of a better word, in targeting the threats that there are to Israel. And I want to make that very clear. I'm not saying that there haven't been mistakes. I'm not saying that sometimes a tank round could have gone into the side of a building when it could have gone into the right side and not to the left side. I kind of totally believe that. I've been there. That is warfare, by the way, including the school that was bombed in Iran when the whole thing happened. But there is nothing good about having to deal with the evil that took place in the bunkers and in the tunnels underneath Gaza.
Yeah, but I'll actually take a slightly different look on that. I think there's something great about taking on the evil that's in those bunkers. Now, don't get me wrong. You say there's nothing good because it's the death that's represented or whatever. But let me ask this question to the same person that would ask that question, and that's this: how can you be a Christian knowing that one day Christ will come back, and when he does, he's going to say one word? And that word is going to destroy, in essence, all of the enemies. Blood to the horse's bridle. Harmegido. This is what happens when we associate our justice with God's justice.
Okay, but there is a question, and I want to tweak it here. Okay, when somebody goes through an operation to solve a problem that could be death,
it could be painful. I get it.
It's painful. That pain is not good.
100%.
I don't like the pain. I mean, if you need to cut off a piece of your body because otherwise you're going to die, that is going to be missed. It is painful, okay? But that doesn't mean that doesn't need to be done.
Right.
I'm not going to call it good. I mean, we've all punished our kids. Punishment is not supposed to be fun.
I call punishment great. I call it good. It's righteous.
Okay.
It's honorable. And it's honorable because it creates a corrective action that brings goodness to my children. And it's the same thing here. I hate the fact that kids are dying. I hate death. I'm not a fan of that. But the war that we are fighting is a righteous war.
Again, this is an interesting dynamic, though. God has said, I'm going to chastise you because you need to be chastised.
Sure.
But it hurts me too.
Absolutely.
And again, when God says something hurts him, that doesn't mean, I don't know how to say good or bad, but I can appreciate that taking on evil is not something that is going to
it's somber. It's devastating. Of course it is.
And
it's
horrific. Let me
horrific.
make this clear. I feel sorry for the children in Gaza.
Oh, come on.
That have been stuck in this. I feel sorry for the people in Iran that are suffering this. I feel sorry for everybody who has suffered in the name of feeling this. I feel that deeply in my core. But that doesn't mean that it's not evil that caused that.
Right. No, 100%. 100%. And I think that this is a super, super important look. I think that we have to be unapologetic about Israel's right to self-determination?
Defense?
100%.
Okay, so here's the thing. I was on a hill in northern Israel a couple of months ago, looking out from Mizgavam, which has been in the news lately, and the village on the other side, a Shia Muslim village, was completely destroyed. So I asked some of the people in the village, I mean, why is this village destroyed? I mean, what did the people do there? And he turns around, I see if I can find the picture, and he shows me a hole in the wall behind him. And I said, what's that? He said, that's a rocket that was fired from that village at this house. And it hit the house. Luckily, the explosive didn't detonate. So what happened is the rocket went through the walls kinetically without detonating. You understand what I mean? So you get a hole on this wall. There's a hole on one wall. There was a hole on the other. And I looked back at the holes, and I see exactly where it was fired from. And the building and the whole area where it was fired from has been devastated.
100%.
Now, that is what's happening.
100%.
That is what's happening. And the people in Mizgavam have a right to live without the threat of those rockets. And when somebody uses a house to fire a rocket from, take down the house.
Yep.
And when somebody uses a hill to fire a rocket from, conquer the hill. I mean, that is basically what Israel is doing right now.
100%.
And what I'm trying to say is there is an element of who instigates this, and you and I both know that when you get punished, there has to be a reason that you're getting punished. You don't get punished for nothing. And if you don't take the reason of punishment, if you see a father punishing his son, and you don't take in consideration the fact that the son did something worthy of that punishment, you get a distorted view of what's going on.
Amen.
That separation is exactly what the enemy is doing.
Amen.
That is it. So if you're punishes your child and somebody sees just the punishment without relating to the reason that justified the punishment, then you become an abuser. You become a negative. It becomes something negative. No. You have to make contact. You have to make context of what brought on this reaction. And that, I think, is what the enemy, by the way, does very, very well.
Yeah, I would agree.
And when again, go back to the Garden of Eden. Eve says, "Oh, we just ate the apple. What do you want?" I mean,
yeah. Yes.
We just ate
That's
the apple. Right. And she disassociates the event from the command, the reason for the punishment. And again, this is the core of our society. This is the core of what's happening. And thank you for the question. It helped us explain that you have to keep the context of what created this situation.
Well, it's a good question. It's a really good question. But I think the problem is that everybody stands on what the Islamic world wants to take advantage of.
Attack and accuse.
That's 100%.
Attack and accuse.
100%.
Go to the Balagan Connection. I put up a video last night called "Attack and Accuse." That's
it should be good to watch. I normally watch them. I missed it this time.
Oh well, 3:00 in the morning.
Thumbnails have been really good, by the way, lately.
Well,
you've been doing a good job.
We're working on them.
Yeah, I like them. You look handsome in the thumbnails.
Yeah, and AI can make everybody handsome.
I'm just telling you, bro.
James, we know that. If we're looking handsome on the thumbnails, look what's happening.
Oh, yeah. You know we're winning. Yeah. Right? All right. Any final words, brother?
Oh, this is, again, I keep on saying this is going to be a critical week. Yes, this is going to be a critical week. But we live in critical times, and thank God for the fact that I'm here to be able to help spread this. And again, if anybody wants to talk to me about what's going on, if your grandkids go crazy and they want to talk to somebody who's been there, I mean, I will talk to anybody. I talk to people right now. And
Amen. All right, guys, just remember, there's a lot at stake. Continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Amen.
Pray for Bibi. He's in a very difficult position right now.
Oh, we haven't talked Israeli politics.
Oh, man.
Have you been following what Gadi Taub?
Oh, yeah. Gadi's he's a friend of mine. We're close friends. He updates me on everything. Oh. And Gadi has a certain level of boldness that just appreciate. And I, by God's grace, I have direct access to Gadi. We text each other all the time. So he's a good inlet. I get good info from Gadi.
So Gadi's becoming kind of semi-respectable in some of this. I saw him on...
he's a celebrity.
I saw him on Channel 14 with a suit and a tie.
Yeah, I see him a lot now with a suit and a tie now. In California.
Though, if you check me out Signal Hill, I was here 2 weeks ago with a suit. So with
yeah,
the
you looked
jacket.
handsome. It was a good look. It was a
We're
good, it was a
working
good
on
look.
that. Guys, thank you. And again, if you need me to talk to anybody about what's going on in Israel, really from an Israeli, from a Christian, from a military point of view, let me know. I will talk to anybody's nephew. I know it's weird that I say it like that because it's the younger generation. I get a lot of messages from the older generation
Yeah.
asking me, how do I explain to the younger generation what's really happening?
Yeah.
And so again, if I will talk to anybody over the age of 7.
And I will tell you, and I will tell you, pray for Kaddis. Pray for Kaddis Taub. It's funny that you mentioned him because the stuff that man is facing right now, because of his stand, I mean, the deep state right now is getting busted, getting completely busted, and it's just hilarious to watch. It's hilarious to watch. He's exposing them like nobody else. And I'm gonna try to find the name of the video that I did with Kaddis just last week. 2 weeks ago, I released it. It was a very, very good video, and we ended up exposing a lot of what's going on in the Jewish state. The deep state is what I would call it, actually. Yeah, that's. I think we called it "Why Some Christians Say They Are Supporting Iran's Regime."
By the way, I don't know. I mean, I've been following Kaddis for a while. I followed his turn from left to right.
Oh, I know. I haven't followed him that long. I only knew him when he was as a conservative.
No, he had a television show where.
Oh, he told me the stories.
I mean, yeah. Him. By the way, there's quite a number of Israelis, me included, by the way, who have moved from the left to the right over our lifetimes. There's a couple. There's a new Israeli party run by Einat Vilf. I see if I can kind of connect you to that. That's also
It's
in
a
that
new.
time.
What's the name of the party?
Her name is Einat Vilf. She was actually a spokesperson and a Knesset member for Shimon Peres back then, but she again turned to the right, and she is in the center of fighting what I call Palestinianism. I got the term from her. So.
I know you said that. I was going to ask you where you got that term from because I think that term is hilarious.
Yeah, it's a new religion. It's a new theology.
It's like a disease.
It is.
It's a disease based on a false premise. It's like saying you're dying of a disease that comes from something that isn't even real, but it's so real it's killing people like at an explosive rate. It's just terrible. It's terrible what's happening right now. So yeah, we talked about it. There's 2 guys I did the interview with that I thought was really, really good that we talked about these things with, and that was Bibi's brother, that was another really, really good interview that we did. So, okay, you want to close this up in prayer?
Yep. Avinu Shebashamayim. Toda, toda, toda. That we can be here today and speak your word and speak your truth. We pray that you will give our leaders and everything, everyone below them, the understanding and the knowledge to walk your path. We pray for the people of Israel. We also pray for the people of Iran, of Gaza, of Lebanon in these very troubling times. I pray for the church that it will not turn its back on your people. We just pray that the truth will prevail as much as possible. And we want to do this in the name of your son, Yeshua. Amen.
Amen. All right, you guys, we love you. It was a good, long talk, but it needed. I mean, I think sometimes we have to just go through all of these issues, and they're important. So we love you guys. God bless you. In just a few minutes, I'm going to interview some people from the IDF. Maybe you'll join me if you have time. You have time? Okay. It's going to be a great video. All right? Love you guys. God bless you.
Yalla bye.
Fight the good fight.